Hello everyone, welcome back to The Media Couple. I'm Rory.
And I'm Sophie.
Where we break down the latest in film, TV and entertainment from an insider's perspective. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of Stacey Dooley Sleeps Over, but she has recently slept over with Lily Phillips. Today we're going to be breaking down that documentary and asking ourselves what really was the difference between Stacey Dooley's approach with, an adult entertainment star and the way the director approached the Bonnie Blue documentary that we discussed a few weeks ago. So, Sophie, to kick it off, I'm going to ask you, what did you think of Stacey Dooley Sleeps Over, Lily Phillips?
Well, I thought it was considerably better than the Bonnie Blue one.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't get bored in this one, but I think there's a few reasons why this one worked compared to the old one. I think this one, first of all, Stacey Dooley, you know her style, you know what she's going to be like. But honestly, what got me on this documentary was that it felt like Stacey Dooley had an actual interest in Lily Phillips that was her own. And I think that's what made me connect a bit more. I felt like she was genuinely asking questions because she was interested in her so that Stacey Dooley could sort of understand her more, as opposed to it being a bit more voyeuristic, which is what I think the Bonnie Blue documentary was.
Yeah.
And then I think as well, quite frankly, they got a little bit more out of Lily Phillips than they managed to get out of Bonnie Blue. I think we managed to sort of understand her a little bit more and kind of got to see her, I think, in a few more moments that weren't about the sex and more about who she was.
Yeah. I also found that Stacey Dooley being fully immersed in Bonnie's world for like a weekend. I love that approach as well, that it was like I'm staying over and it's like a weekend, we're hanging out. It makes it feel a lot more like personal. To the viewer already when you package up the program in that sort of a fashion. But I found it interesting how Stacey Dooley, like, you remember, she attends Lily's session where, she's filming some new content for her OnlyFans, right? And she goes on set with Lily and she's fully there. But because Stacey Dooley comes across as this sort of like very relaxed, chilled out sort of mum type figure, she just says hello to all the guys. Yeah. She's like, you're all right? Yeah, you're all good? No, I don't have the lube. Sorry, I don't have that.
I know.
No, that I'm not part of the production here. I'm making a documentary here. But there was something about the approach that, like, although it is quite...
Felt like it humanized her more.
Yeah, and it was almost quite like, it was just nice to see a bit more of like a light-hearted approach in certain moments in this film.
Yeah.
I understand Lily Phillips is like a really polarizing figure and does very extreme content, but there was also something that I think Stacey was trying to get us to see a different side of her and make us warm to her.
Yeah, interestingly, I was actually going to say the same thing. And I know people are probably going to come at me for saying this, but I actually liked Lily Phillips by the end.
Interesting, yeah. Right? I kind of felt the same way.
I didn't like Bonnie Blue by the end. I still felt like Bonnie Blue was this mythical person, the name Bonnie Blue. Whereas I felt like by the end, I liked Lily Phillips. And maybe that's also why that documentary succeeded, in my view, more than the Bonnie Blue one. I do think it's very interesting. Yes, as you said, like the Stacey Dooley Sleeps Over, it's part of that format that she does anyways. I think it was a clever idea to bring Lily Phillips into it. I do think it's interesting that they went with Lily Phillips and not Bonnie Blue.
Yeah.
I wonder whether that was a choice and how open they saw that Lily Phillips was in the Josh Peters documentary.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe someone like a bit easier to actually get to know them and, ask those tough questions.
Yeah, I do wonder whether that played into it. But yeah, I definitely feel like there were some more lighthearted moments. And I think if you watch the Bonnie Blue documentary, and listen to the podcast when we did it a few weeks ago, I really want you to go and watch this one because it's such a difference. It's such a stark difference between the two and two ways to approach similar subject matter.
Absolutely, yeah.
And one I think works and the other I think doesn't.
Yeah.
And honestly, yes, you're obviously going to have people who are going to come and say like, well, you're still glamorizing sex and all that kind of stuff. But the way that it went about it in the Stacey Dooley one, it just felt like it wasn't glamorizing it in the same way that it did in the Channel 4 one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the fact that there's two, this is a great example of two very different stylistic approaches to two of the exact same sort of subjects.
Yeah.
You've got two very polarizing women who do extreme content on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
But the approach to extract what people ultimately want to learn more about them. You know, they're interesting characters, but the artistic approach by two different directors is just so clear at this point.
Yeah.
And personally, for me, we talked about it on that episode a few weeks ago. I think Stacey Dooley's approach made it feel a lot more connected. It made me feel connected. It made me actually like Lily in the end, and see her not just as an adult entertainment star, more as a human being.
Yeah.
Like,
he wasn't as graphic either.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like Bonnie Blues which we talked about, was more of marketing material for her, just with now a big broadcaster like Channel 4 doing something like that for her.
Well, I think as well, like the imagery in the Bonnie Blue one was so graphic. Like, yes, there are obviously some graphic scenes in the Lily Phillips one, but no, like the majority of the documentary that Stacey Dooley did is not graphic.
No.
They're in their car, they're in their living room. Well, they're in her living room. It doesn't feel quite so much like all we're doing is a fly on the wall to her, stunts.
Yeah.
I also do wonder though, Bonnie Blue did kind of go further than Lily Phillips ever did.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wonder whether that was also something where they were like, well, she's going to go to the extreme end of it. And so are we in the documentary. Maybe that's what Channel 4 were thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know if
it's an interesting approach, because you look at Lily Phillips, she was notorious for sleeping with 100 men in one day.
Yeah.
Bonnie Blue did 1,000.
Yeah.
Add another zero on it. And that's what, the documentary was called, 1,000 Men and Me. So already being like, well, Lily can try, but, I'm the queen here, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
But the one thing I did really like as well, I liked lots of Stacey's approach to this documentary, was the family dynamic and emotional moments we got. We talked about Bonnie Blues being like, there was no emotion to me. Even when we met her mum in it, it was kind of this disconnected 5-minute scene, which was like, we support her. And then we find out all the family's on the payroll.
Well, I think it's interesting because in the Lily Phillips documentary, the family obviously said, of course we support her.
Of course, yeah, they love her. Yeah.
Yeah, and they, same thing that Bonnie Blue's family said in that documentary. Of course we support her. I think what's interesting is that in this one with Stacey, it was a direct conversation and you could see the questions were being asked. I think it also really helped having somebody guide us through on screen how we're supposed to feel as a viewer.
Yeah, definitely.
I think genuinely that has also made a huge difference in this specific, in this difficult scene, like topic that you're talking about. I think that's potentially also why it didn't quite connect as much on the Channel 4 one, because essentially we don't have anybody guiding us through how we're supposed to feel. And, whereas you look at the Lily Phillips one with the parents, the conversation that was happening, and it got very emotional, but you could kind of be there with Stacey Dooley and sort of felt like you were channeled through her in a way that was quite delicate, I thought. Yeah, it was very interesting.
I think scenes though that are constructed like that, it can go one of two ways, but I felt like in that moment it got such good, it got such a raw response from Lily, and it got such an authentic moment with her parents where we almost got like a real insight into the personal workings of her life and how her dad and mum feel about her and what she does for a living. And ultimately I think that loads of people judge these women, right, and they do all the time for what they do, but what makes this really interesting, I think, made me like her more, is that it was kind of like, there's moments where obviously she's selling a brand, she's selling the brand that is Lily Phillips, because that's her living, that's her livelihood. But in that moment, you got to see a layer of her where you were like, and Stacey said it as well. She said, I'm just with Lily in this moment, and I feel like I finally got to a point where I'm seeing a real side of her, a different side of her, that's like just this normal 23-year-old girl that has the same emotions that I had when I was her age, goes through those same things. And like, Stacey said, like, women who go into the adult entertainment industry, she said that, they come from tough backgrounds, some of them, which sort of leads them down that path. With Lily, it's like a very loving home environment, which was an interesting thing to learn as well. I do think it's interesting because I wonder also if you were to look at Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips, right, and how both of those documentaries have been received. I would say Lily kind of played this better than Bonnie did. Yeah. Right? Because Bonnie was just that stoic, very like, no, I love doing this. This is it, blah, blah, blah. Not letting anybody in, very surface level. Like, this is what I do. Take it or leave it. Love me or hate me. This is it. I have no empathy for myself or anybody else.
regarding what I do. Lily Phillips, you could see that she had empathy, and I think that made her connect on screen more. And I think that probably is going to play better for her long term in terms of actually having a voice. And, you know, she's never going to be Oprah. Okay. I'm not sitting here saying that, you know, she's going to be our next, you know, Olivia Atwood.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case, but I don't think she's going to be quite so heavily, shall we say, condemned for this documentary because of how she came across.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely think out of the two, if you took Lily and Bonnie, I would argue that Bonnie is more vilified publicly than Lily is.
But I also think that also plays into the fact that Bonnie's was so much more graphic than Lily's documentary.
And colder. I think maybe that's it, because the director went for the observational approach.
Yeah.
You know, the more traditional way of making documentary film, you know, not being in it. It made us have this barrier, which we discussed in the last one, as the viewer. Whereas like you said, having someone on screen holding our hand through those moments, they can either make them lighthearted or they can make them quite serious. Yeah. Which is something that is a benefit.
Light and shade.
Exactly. Light and shade. Yeah, it's all about light and shade. Well, I do have a couple of questions for you around this.
Okay, go on.
So do you think, it's that sort of presenter versus observational led docs. So do you think that presenter led documentaries, like Stacey Dooley's, create a bias for the audience, or do they make the story richer?
Oh, no, I definitely think there's a bias. I think, you know, anything that has any documentary has a bias. You know, I think it's silly to assume that there's no bias in documentary, although that is technically what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a factual account, but then nobody would watch a factual account of something. And how are you supposed to be completely unbiased? I don't think that's really a construct that's even possible.
Yeah, true.
So of course there's going to be biases that are brought into it. And I think that's also why people enjoy watching. Yeah. You know, you're going to get something completely different from Louis Theroux than you're going to get from Stacey Dooley than you're going to get from Olivia Atwood.
Now that would be next. What if Louis does something with both of them?
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. But I think people tune in for those reasons. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's a different approach. But I think when to employ that approach is key. And I think the commissioners behind the Stacey Dooley documentary employing Stacey Dooley to make this documentary was a good move. Yeah.
Like, do you think that Stacey challenged her enough? Like, with the way that, you know, people would have wanted, you know, I guess, like, do you feel like Stacey was quite, you know, was she quite nice to her a lot of the time? Was she quite warm? Like, what did you think of her approach?
Yeah, I think she was warm in the way that anybody else would be warm with somebody who clearly was not. You know, I don't think Lily came across as somebody who was out there to try and hurt people.
No.
And I think, you know, when you walk into a room with somebody who is giving you warmth, you're going to do the same back.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like they had quite a camaraderie on screen. Mm-hmm. Does that mean that she challenged her enough? I don't know. I think she definitely challenged her enough to get her to open up emotionally. And I think that's probably what the challenge is, right? Like, one way or another, we want some form of emotion, some form of shade or light.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we didn't get from Bonnie Blue. That's why I don't think that one worked, because we didn't actually get Bonnie Blue to, you know, come out of her shell one way or the other. It just felt very, very straight-laced.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I think she did challenge her in a way, clearly with her parents. That's the way that worked. And we got to see the impact of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it quite the challenge that I think some people would have wanted? Probably not. But then they also didn't show all the explicit stuff that the other documentary did. Yeah. So, you know, it's two sides of the same coin.
I also think you're only ever going to get as much as, you know, Lily or Bonnie want to give you, right?
Yeah.
Like, I actually think that Stacey's move to get her parents involved in a live session on a Zoom was an incredibly powerful tool to create like quite compelling documentary film, really. It's like, why on earth would she have allowed that to happen? She was clearly open to the idea of that happening because it extracted what I think a lot of people, when we watch these women, want. We want a side of them that we can see ourselves in. Right, because they're so to a lot of people who aren't in that industry, they're so, you know, totally like abnormal in a way.
Yeah.
Because we can't relate to that, but we can relate to the feelings and emotions that she portrays in that moment.
Yeah, totally. I mean, what they did well is they got her to be open and honest and truthful.
Yeah.
Which is something that I don't think they achieved with the Bonnie Blue documentary.
No,
you know?
absolutely.
And that is the crux of the difference.
Yeah, yeah. Do you see a world in which someone like Bonnie Blue or Lily Phillips could become the next Stacey Dooley? No. Like you brought up Olivia Atwood and stuff like that. And we talked a few episodes ago, didn't we, about how people from Love Island and stuff and reality shows become documentary filmmakers. Could you see a world in which Lily
I think they're
Bonnie?
too polarizing. I think that they're too polarizing and too much of a risk in terms of their background to be, especially not Bonnie Blue now.
Yeah.
Lily Phillips, probably not. No, I don't see mainstream media going, yeah, we'll make her the front of our documentary.
All right. Let me ask you another question. In a hypothetical situation, who out of the big mainstream broadcasters would commission that?
None.
No, but who do you think?
None.
Hypothetically. No, but this is like this is make believe.
But then all of them.
I'm going to say Channel 4. That's who I'd go with. Channel 4 would be the ones I think who'd be like, yeah, go on then.
Yeah, maybe, but picking Lily Phillips to front a documentary?
Yeah, so okay, Channel 5, Channel 4, ITV, BBC. Who's going to do it?
Yeah, Channel 4, obviously.
Definitely. I think Channel 4 and maybe ITV in there potentially, but I think BBC, no way, but Channel 4, I could see that.
Maybe Channel 5, to be fair.
Channel 5, that's a good shout as well.
Potentially Channel 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't see the BBC doing that anytime soon.
No, they're not doing that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think they've got well placed with Louis Theroux.
Yeah, they're not. And Stacey
Dooley.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can't be doing that. They'll be like,
Exactly.
but I just made a documentary about her. But yeah, okay. So we preferred Stacey's approach to this subject.
Yeah, I did think it was better. I'd love to hear you guys' take.
Yeah.
So please do watch it and let us know if you've already watched it, or if you haven't, go and give it a watch and come back and comment, because I do want to know what you guys think. Anyways, moving on, we've got the Rotten Tomatoes game today, which is all themed around sex workers.
Yes,
obviously.
Here we go.
So the first film, for those of you who don't know what the Rotten Tomatoes game is, by this point, I mean, I'm still explaining myself, but it's fine. I'll keep doing it for you. It's basically where I say one film, Rory then has to guess what the critics and audience score is from Rotten Tomatoes. Stop trying to have a look at my paper. He then tells me what they are. I tell him if he's right or wrong. We discuss the film and we move on. We have 4 films this week. So that means he's got 8 shots at getting a point.
Which means I'm getting 8 right.
No. Anyways, the first film, Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman.
Yep, that one.
Walking down the street.
One.
Okay, Pretty Woman. Oh. Audience score.
Big mistake. Huge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, huge. Shut the box.
You work on commission. Right? Yeah, go on.
Audience score, 80%.
Okay.
Critics score, 78.
Interesting. Audience score, 68%.
Damn.
Yeah, quite low. Critically, 65%.
Wow, relatively low. So is that a case of where the film is like more, it's
a cult.
It's a cult film, yeah. Because by the time I watched that film, it was like, oh, you have to have watched Pretty Woman.
I know, it's Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
I honestly was surprised when I was researching this, when I saw those scores, because I thought Pretty Woman would do much better than that.
Yeah.
I think it deserves much better than that. I mean, it was a brilliant film. It still stands the test of time to today.
Yeah, it's still solid. Yeah. Definitely.
Anyways, another one, which, Anora.
Oh. I wish I could say my favourite line from that film, but I cannot do that on this podcast.
It would be bleeped out.
It would be yeah, but go watch it because it's really
good. It's a great film.
Anora, I'm going to go with, high. Audience score, 90%. Critically, 100%.
Okay, critically, it got 93%.
No!
The audience score was 84%.
Oh, wow, okay.
I think that was because it was quite graphic.
Yeah, fair. Okay.
I think that's
so not
why.
just everyone's taste sort of thing.
I think it was because it was quite graphic. I don't think fair, but
That's a great film, though.
It is a good film. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Go watch Anora. Yeah, really good.
Exactly.
One of Sophie's favourite directors as well.
Yeah.
Did that one.
He did Tangerine and The Florida Project, which is my favourite film by him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good films.
Next one, we've got Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge. I'm actually, I don't know. This is because it's a musical. I'm going to go with
Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor.
Love that. Big fan.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with an audience score of 70%.
Okay.
Critically, 72.
Critically, 75%. Audience score, though, 89.
Wow. Okay, so really high.
Yeah.
I just feel like because musicals are not always to people's taste, but I guess that one again, like that's such a big musical, you know.
That was a great one.
It's a great film.
It is a great film.
It's a good film. Yeah. Baz Luhrmann.
Yes, I love Baz Luhrmann.
You do like Baz.
I do like Baz as well, yeah.
It's the Australian in you, I think. And he only makes one film every decade.
It seems like it, doesn't it? Exactly. Next one, we've got Hustlers.
Hustlers.
You remember that J-Lo?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that one. J-Lo. Hustlers.
I would say this is her best film.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one. Better than Made in Manhattan?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a, yeah. I tell you what, actually, no, I loved The Cell with Jennifer Lopez.
Oh,
You've never seen it. It's a horror film.
Well, that's why I've not seen it.
Well, it's a really good horror film.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. Go watch The Cell. I mean, yeah, you probably know what The Cell is, but it's good.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 80% audience score.
Yeah.
78 critic.
Okay. Let's start with the critic score, 88%.
Wow, okay, high again.
High. Audience score, 65%.
That's what I mean. It's so, because didn't that was in like an Oscars run, I think, or something.
Everybody was saying that she was going to get nominated for an Oscar, if you remember.
That was it.
And then she didn't get nominated and she was snubbed. I don't think.
Do you think she did deserve to be nominated? No, she didn't.
No,
I guess
I don't think she did. I thought she was good. I thought it was her best film to date.
Yeah.
I don't think it was quite as good as I think she thought it was.
Yeah, fair.
But it was a good film. But it wasn't
yeah.
it wasn't an Oscar film.
No,
It wasn't, sadly, in my book at least.
That's right. And if there's anything about Sophie's book, it's Oscars.
It's Oscars.
Yeah, she's got loads, haven't you?
What, of Oscars?
Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah.
No.
It's a no from me, Simon.
Exactly.
Anyways, on that note, thank you so much for watching. We put these out every single Thursday. And as
Although
always...
it's Friday.
Yeah, oh yeah, sorry. Lately we've been doing Friday. God,
I know.
what
We're
are we like?
slacking, guys.
We're slacking, guys. We're sorry. But please comment if you're watching us on YouTube. Let us know what you thought. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to hear if you preferred the Bonnie Blue documentary or the Lily Phillips one. And if you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, please leave us a review. Yeah, thank you. Please leave us a review. It massively helps out the show. And as always, guys, we really appreciate you being here.
Yep. We will see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.